Copycat Gaming Historian. For the first episode, we're going to be focusing on one of my favorite franchises from my youth, Crash Bandicoot. Crash Bandicoot is a franchise that started back in 1994 and continues to this day. It has gone from multiple platforms but originated on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation. This is my original PlayStation, and Crash Bandicoot is inside. The Crash Bandicoot games are mostly set on the fictional island called Wampa, an archipelago located to the south of Australia, where humans and mutant animals coexist, although other locations are common. The main games in the series are largely platformers, but several are spin-offs in different genres, including racing and fighting. The protagonist of the series is a genetically enhanced Bandicoot named Crash, whose quiet life on Wampa Island is often interrupted by the game's main antagonist, Dr. Neo Cortex, who created Crash and wants him dead as he is a failed experiment. In most games, Crash must defeat Cortex and foil his plans for world domination. After presenting The Way of the Warrior to Universal Interactive, Naughty Dog was signed on to the company for 3 additional games. In August 1994, Andy Gavin and Jason Rubin began their move from Boston, Massachusetts to Los Angeles, California. During the trip, Gavin and Rubin decided to create a 3D action platform game, taking inspiration from the 16-bit era games such as Donkey Kong Country, Mario, and Sonic. Because the players would be forced to constantly look at the character's rear, the game was jokingly called Sonic's Ass Game. The basic technology for the game, and the Crash Bandicoot series as a whole, was created somewhere near Gary, Indiana. A rough game theory was designed near Colorado, Indiana, by David Seller, the creator of the area The Acrobat, and Maximo. Soon afterwards, Gavin and Rubin threw out their previous game design, a side-scrolling video game based on time travel called AIO, where the scientists genetically merged with dinosaurs. After moving into Universal Interactive backlot, Gavin and Rubin met with the head of Universal Interactive at the time, Mark Canary, to discuss the design of the game, and made an agreement to go into production of the game. In September 1994, Gavin and Rubin decided to develop their game for the PlayStation, after which Rubin began the character design. In November of that year, Naughty Dog hired Dave Baggett, their first employee and the friend of Gavin, from Massachusetts. Together, Gavin and Baggett created and developed the Game-Oriented Object, Lisp, or GOOL for short. This tool will be used to create the characters and the gameplay for the game. In January of 1995, Rubin became concerned about the programmer-to-artist ratio, and hired Bob Raffi and Taylor Kusaki as additional artists. Needing a lead character for the game, Naughty Dog recruited American Exodus artist Charles Zimbalin and Joe Pearson, and met with them weekly to create the characters and environments for the game, eventually creating the character named Willie the Wombat. The marketing director of Universal Interactive insisted the character be named Wiz, Wuzzle, or Wizzy the Wombat. On creating the levels of the game, Zambles and Peterson first sketched each environment, designing and creating additional individual elements later. They aimed for an organic, overgrown look to the game, and worked to completely avoid straight lines and 90-degree corners. A Naughty Dog artist sketched every single background object in the game before it was modeled. The artists were making the best use of textures and reducing the amount of geometry. Dark and light elements were used to create visual interest and separate geometry. The correct use of color was an important goal for Naughty Dog artists. For example, the interior of Dr. Cortex's castle was designed to reflect Cortex's twisted mind. After the main character's creation, the team went into 3 months of developing the game. The game first became functional in April of 1995 and became playable in June of 1995. The first 3 levels of the game were completed in August 1995. However, they were judged to be too difficult to appear so early in the game and were moved to the game's power plant area. Artist Charlotte Ferris joined Naughty Dog at around this time. In September 1995, a videotape of Crash Bandicoot was shown to Sony Computer Entertainment, behind closed doors. While playing the game during development, Rubin realized that there were many empty areas in the game due to the PlayStation's inability to process numerous on-screen enemy characters at the same time. Additionally, players were solving the game's puzzles too fast. Rubin came up with the idea of a box and putting various symbols on the sides to create puzzles. Breaking those boxes would serve to fill in the boring parts of the levels, and gave the player additional puzzles. The first crate was placed in the game in January 1996 and would become the primary gameplay element of the series, lasting to this very day. Willie Wambach's destruction of the crates would eventually lead him to be named Crash. In March of 1996, Sony agreed to publish Crash Bandicoot, which went into alpha stages in April of 1996. Crash Bandicoot was first shown at the Electronic Gaming Expo in May of 1996. Then, on September 9th, 1996, Crash Bandicoot exploded onto the world.
At 22:16 hours, we got a call that a man was acting erratically in the store. He's acting like a maniac. When we arrived on the scene, the store had been emptied of its customers because of the behavior of this gentleman. It took us a while to control the situation, and there was some frustration involved. We've had 3 incidences this week. I wouldn't go as far as to say epidemic. They're annoying.
Selling like hotcakes, Crash Bandicoot eventually ended up selling 6.82 million copies around the world, becoming one of PlayStation's most popular games and one of Sony's most popular mascots.
Hey, plumber boy, mustache man, your worst nightmare has arrived.
Pack up your stuff. I got a little surprise for you here.
Check it out. What do you think about that? We got real-time, 3D, lush organic environments. How's that make you feel, buddy?
Feel a little like your days are numbered?
I'm gonna have to ask you to leave.
You're hurting my elbow.
Is that Italian?
No, Bandicoot. It's an Australian name.
And the rest was gaming history. Thanks for watching the Copycat Gaming Historian. If you'd like to support the channel, well, you can just subscribe, like, and comment, because I don't have Patreon or anything else like that. Funding for Copycat Gaming Historian provided by his actual job.